I was in St. Augustine doing the live-at coverage for PGAtour.com of the Accenture Match Play. I was there on Tuesday, wrote the show. We had a little pregame show we had to do. And it was about 4:30, and I looked at my watch. It was 4:30, and I'm 60 miles from Daytona. And I jumped in my little piece of garbage rental car and toasted it down Interstate 95. Just flew down there to see what was going on. And a gentleman I could have run into is our next guest, the crew chief on the 98 Ford G-Love team. And it's Gene Nead. Gene, thanks for coming on the show with us. How are you?
Great. How are you, Brian?
Oh, well, we're pumped. I got my 9-year-old son, Henry, here. We are big race fans. We got the go-karts ready to go. We're running tomorrow. We're going to watch the race. Then we're going to run the go-karts afterwards. Congratulations on getting in. What was it like to have a car that wasn't in the race? You got to go suffer through all the heartache of putting it in one of those dual qualifiers and wonder if you're going to get involved in a crash. How did all that go? Now you're in. How do you feel?
I mean, relieved probably more than anything. You know, it's a pretty stressful time, but shoot, I've been doing it a long time. You just don't get that excited about it.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Michael McDowell finishes 6th in his qualifier. Do you know where you're starting tomorrow?
Yeah, 11th.
You're starting 11th?
Yes.
Wow. That's fantastic. 11 out of 43, by the way, for those who will not be watching the race. All right, so tell us about your putter making, because I've heard your name. I've known about your stuff out there. I had no idea you were a NASCAR guy. Which came first, the race cars or the putters?
Race cars have always come first. I've been involved in racing. My family was involved in racing, and I just grew up in it, and that's what I've done my whole life. But the putter, you know, I started playing golf when I was a young kid with my grandfathers, and I enjoy golf. Not very good at it, but I do enjoy it. I have a lot of fun. And, you know, when I was young, I think my grandfather had given me like an 82 style putter, and I really liked it. But, you know, I grew up learning how to weld when I was 9 years old and just make stuff, you know. And so I just kind of built my own when I was a kid. And then, you know, I just always kind of messed with them and stuff. So it's just something I enjoy.
Wow. You learned how to weld when you were 9?
Yes, sir.
Henry, don't get any ideas. We're not teaching you how to weld.
I'm 9.
I know you're 9. You're not. I couldn't teach you how to weld anyway. We'll have to get your grandfather to teach you that. Or your uncle. All right, so how much golf do you get a chance to play? What's the season for you? I don't know what the plans are on the 98 car. Are you guys going to run the whole season? Are you going to have any time for golf?
Well, you know, this year we kind of started a new thing, and we're going to go to every event. You know, it's racing is dependent upon sponsorship, obviously. So, you know, we have a few sponsors. We're going to race as much as we can, and then when we can't, we'll start and park or whatever we have to do to keep going. You know, I usually take my golf clubs on the road, play. I mean, I've got to play a lot of places, you know, all over the country just because of that. And, you know, I'll play as much as I can. It's not as much as I would like, but as much as I can.
Can you make a living out there? Can a team be profitable in this start and park mode? I know it's not something they talk about a lot in NASCAR. They kind of brush it aside. But, I mean, I understand there's an expense traveling people around the country. Tires are expensive. Gas is expensive. Can you be successful in that mold?
Yeah, you definitely can. You know, I mean, I don't know what you call profitable. You know, the big problem is you're just trying to build something. Going forward, you know, obviously we actively seek sponsorship every day, and going forward we'll find more. And it's just hard. You know, it's the economy's not that great. So some of the sponsorships dried up, and then, you know, it's just. But you have to be there to get it. You know what I mean? So you can do okay, and you can pay your bills and all that stuff if you just start and park. You're not gonna. Nobody's gonna get rich starting and parking. And none of us really want to. You know, we do this because this is what we've done our whole lives. And, you know, and the accomplishment is, you know, things like Thursday. That was an accomplishment. You know, I mean, for a small team, I mean, literally I have a total of 9 guys that work on our team, and you're racing against Hendrick Motorsports that has 300 or 400.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a David and Goliath story. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I've been pretty successful at it. I've won championships in other series, and I feel like, you get to a point in your life and you say, well, I don't really have anything left to prove, I guess, but again, this is what I've done my whole life. I don't really know anything different. Right.
Well, it's fun couple of weeks. Gene Nead, our guest. He's the crew chief on the 98 K-Love 4, driven by Michael McDowell, starting 11th tomorrow in the Daytona 500. He's also a custom putter maker. NeadCustomPutters.com. Coolest website in golf, by the way. N-E-A-D. NeadCustomPutters.com. You're kind of suggesting things. It's kind of a sales tool, Gene. I love that.
Yeah, but, it's really interesting. A friend of mine, he came up with my little slogan. It's not a one, it's a need. And
that's perfect.
Joking around one day, and I said, that's actually pretty good. I think I'll use that. And we also have another website. It's onceandneeds.com. And a friend of mine from Charlotte. Yeah, but onceandneeds.com. So, I mean, I guess I have a perfect name for what we're doing there, too. But
yeah. Yeah, Tad Moore is a custom putter maker. He's a club maker, and that's a pretty good name because apparently his ad campaign for a while was, you could have used a Tad Moore. But yeah. There's wants and needs.
Yeah, I've talked to Tad quite a few times on the phone. He's a really, really nice guy. I'm a big fan of Tad, so I enjoy what he does.
Yeah, really cool dude. Gene, yeah. Can a little team like yours at 90, starting 11th, can the 98 Ford team win the Daytona 500?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty of this sport right now. NASCAR has made the rules such that it's very, very, very hard to get an advantage. It didn't used to be. It's obviously changed a lot over the years, but with the car tomorrow, the engine rules what they are. I mean, everything's expensive. But I mean, people don't realize sometimes. I pay just as much for my motor as Hendrick Motorsports, or actually we run Ford, so. Carl Edwards' motor is the same as my motor. It basically costs us about $100,000 a weekend to rent it. If you're racing. So there's but I feel like our car's as good as anybody's, and then we have some good help. Trevor Bean and my driver Michael McDowell are good friends, so we actually right now are planning on going to the back and helping Trevor get to the front because he has to start in the back.
Yeah, Trevor's the defending Indy 500 or Daytona 500 champion, by the way. I wondered about that. Let me ask you this. I know time is running short, but with the fear, we're back to pack racing again. We're done with the tandem racing, although I hear they might do that today in the nationwide race. Has there ever been a thought that you can go to the back and maybe get 4 or 5 cars to agree to run a quarter of a lap back? Hey, let's get back here, and let's run 3/4 of the race back here, so that when the big one happens, we're not in it, and when the second big one happens, we're not in it, and then after that, let's go up to the front and see what happens. Has anybody ever tried that before?
Oh, there's a lot of people try that, and there'll be a lot of people do it tomorrow. The problem is not everybody can hang out in the back, right? If everybody, somebody has to run in the middle. So at some point, you're going to be in the middle of the pack and hope everything settles down. I mean, it's just part of racing. I mean, this is the Daytona 500. Sometimes, I've been here quite a few times. I was here one year with Jimmy Spencer and rode to the back. It's all he wanted to do was ride around the back until the big one happens, and they kept happening. I mean, I think Michael Waltrip turned over on the back straight away and a couple other things, and he was right, but at some point you also have to go, because what happened was he hung out in the back too long, and you can't make it back to the front. So it's a very fine line between hanging out in the back for a while and going to the front, or just, I mean, I've raced my whole life. I've driven race cars. I've worked on race cars. I've built race cars. And my mentality is not to hang out in the back. I mean, I've always kind of figured, I used to argue with Spencer and Ted Musgrave and a lot of other people that I worked with. To me, if you're in front of the crash, it's going to be easier to miss it than have to dodge the shrapnel,
That's just as good. That's even better. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, it's a tough business, though.
That's awesome. Henry, do you have a question for Gene Nead? He's a crew chief. Got a question? My 9-year-old here, we're pumped. We're watching the duels as we speak. Got him on the TiVo. Henry, you have a question?
Not exactly.
No, he doesn't. He's just listening. All right, what is K-Love, the company that's sponsoring your car this weekend? What are they? What do they do?
K-Love is a Christian radio station. They're syndicated up in the United States to a lot of different places. It's just it's a neat thing. And then we also have Curb Records. Mike Curb is part owner of our team, actually, and he's a very interesting guy as well. I mean, it's really neat to be associated with a lot of people like that. I mean, Mike was he wrote. If you ever been to Disneyland, he wrote the jingle "It's a Small World After All."
Really? Because
absolutely.
I've seen the Curb name on a lot of cars over the years.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Curb was, and I had no idea he wrote "It's a Small World After All."
Yeah, but he owns Curb Records. At one time, he was the president of MCA Records. He was the lieutenant governor of California. He was the chairman of the Republican Finance Committee for Ronald Reagan. He's just a very interesting guy. So, I mean, when you're associated with people like that, it's a lot of fun.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. Gene, it's really great to get a chance to catch up with you and meet you. Hopefully you've made a lot more fans that'll be rooting for the 98 car starting 11th tomorrow. Henry's a David Reagan guy. We're big into the 34 over here.
Okay, that's great. I mean, just so you're rooting for somebody, right?
Yeah, well, he's driving a Ford too. So, but I think we'll be keeping an extra special eye on the 98 tomorrow as well. Best of luck. If you're in the market for a putter, NeadCustomPutters.com.
Yep.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Gene,
it, man.
You got it. Good luck. Thanks for coming on the show with us very much. That was really nice of you.
No problem. We'll talk to you later.
All right, there you go. That's Gene Nead, crew chief. We learned a little bit there, Henry. He didn't want to run on the back. If you're in front of the wreck, that's even better than being behind the wreck. They're starting 11th. They could win this thing.